All right, thank you for staying with us. Candidates drawn from 36 political parties will contest the governorship election in Akwa Ibom State. According to the list published by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Before this list was released by INEC, many of the candidates had court cases hanging over their heads and were not cleared by the commission. Among those cleared for the poll is the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Akwa Ibom, who has now unveiled his blueprints for the state. His manifesto is titled Arise, which stands for Agricultural Revolution, Rural Development, Infrastructural Maintenance and Advancement, Security Management, Educational and Economic Management. Mr. Akwa Ibom, governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State, joins us now via Zoom. Good morning, Mr. Ibom. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Right. Let me begin this way. Why should the people of the state vote you as their governor?
The people of the state, as you know, this administration finishes May 29, 2023, and there's always a need to find someone who will have the character, capacity, competence, and compassion to carry on the work of a governor in the state and continue to do the things that will need to be done, deliver security and welfare to the people of Akwa Ibom State. And I believe in my heart that I fit that bill because as this administration winds down, there will be need for continuity to work on all of those facets of life that are related, particularly providing social services for the people, security and well-being of our people, and to ensure that our youth have jobs to do, to ensure that our women can well have things to do, and the general well-being of our people. This is the reason why you need someone who has that capacity, who has done it before, and coming from the private sector, that I've had the privilege to work and run my own business in the last 25 years and grown the business. I believe that I have the understanding of what it takes to provide jobs, to also empower people to get back to work. That is why I am running for the office of the governor of Akwa Ibom State.
Yes, it looks like with what Udom Emmanuel as governor has done, you have the task of continuity. But even in continuity, you have to put your stamp on governance, your individual stamp on governance. Now tell us how you want to work this with your Arise agenda.
Now, the Udom Emmanuel administration has done exceedingly well in the blueprint that he brought to governance. That was to industrialize the state and move the state away from the core civil service state. We have, and he has done extremely well in that area. He has opened up the state, land, air, and sea. You can see for yourselves dotted all across the state are developmental projects that he has done. And even outside the state, he has taken Akwa Ibom to the world. Ibom Air is flying very high. And recently, we just had 2 new additions to the aircraft, to the airline. But we need to continue, yes, but we need to also build. That foundation that has been provided needs to be built upon. And that's why you have tried to set up our own economic goals. And it is encapsulated in a 5-point aspiration, which I have called the Arise agenda. We sat down properly and looked at the issues that we need to build on and to move away from oil, dependency on oil. And we came up with the Arise agenda, which are 5 aspirations that we have: agricultural revolution, tourism and environmental management, rural development, which is very key in my heart, because we really need to connect the people back to the from the rural area. We need to stem rural-urban migration. We need to ensure that our youth are gainfully employed. We need to continue with infrastructural maintenance and advancement. There is no end to infrastructural development of any people or any community or state. So we'll continue with that. And of course, the main function of governance, which is security management. You know, we have a lot of issues that we're dealing with at this time all around the nation. Akwa Ibom has, so far, by the grace of God, remained one of the most peaceful states in this country. There is a need to continue doing the things that Governor Udom Emmanuel has done and is doing to maintain peace so that businesses can thrive. We will look at our educational sector and our health sector. And of course, the economic, industrial, and social advancement of our people. All of that, those aspirations are captured in what is called the Arise Agenda. It's an acronym of all of the things that I have read out to you. So, yes, go on.
Right, let me quickly, make a quick detour from your talking about your Arise agenda to talking about asking you whether the dust has settled from within your party, looking at how you emerged as the party's governorship candidate. Some say you were handpicked out of, the other members vying for that, opportunity to run for the party. Can you say confidently that you have the support of all your other co-aspirants at the time?
Well, the issue of being unpicked is it's been addressed over and over again. I don't believe that the electoral process, the electoral democratic process, does not allow for unpicking. I would understand that someone may have preference, and even as a father, if you have children and you want to give assignments, who can do what. But that doesn't mean you handpick. Handpicking is not a word in democracy. But the truth is that I have the support of the governor, which is okay, and I'm very and eternally grateful for that. But you must also understand that it stems from the fact that he understands, since he's in the office, who he believes can best continue the lofty programs that will benefit Akwa Ibom. So it gives me support. But again, you need to understand that all of us in this race were looking for the support and endorsement of the governor. It is clear during the election, people look for endorsement. You look for endorsement from key strategic people that will bring their influence and support to the race. And so that's not handpicking. We went through the primaries, and then I met as the candidate of the party, and I'm now the party flag bearer. So I do not really understand the issue of unpicking, because Governor Udom Emmanuel has said repeatedly he has one vote, and truly he has one vote. I'm canvassing, I'm campaigning, I'm going the length and breadth of Akwa Ibom State. I'm receiving support from all the sectors that matters. I'm going to the rural areas, I'm talking to them. So when you mean unpick should be you take me and just the next day I'm sworn in. But I'm doing all the work. I'm out there campaigning. So I do not understand unpicking. It could have been anybody. Like I said to you, everyone that was in this race wanted an endorsement, from His Excellency or from key stakeholders. And so there's the question of unpicking for me doesn't really arise. We're going up to the electorate and they'll decide who will be their governor come May 2023 based on their programs, based on our ability to deliver, and based on who they believe can best fit the bill. I think that is democracy, and that's what is happening.
All right. Now, being a person who is a major player in the private sector, what will be your core sector of focus if you emerge as governor that will position the economy of the state and make it competitive?
That's what I told you about the Arise agenda. The Arise agenda will take on agriculture. Right now, agriculture is something I believe we need to turn to, not just in Akwa Ibom, but in Nigeria. Agriculture, we must begin to steer the economy away from oil. We must be able to feed ourselves, literally. So what we want to do is to go into commercial agriculture, have a full value chain for agriculture in Akwa Ibom, and be able to build, get our people to do agriculture at the commercial level, and then have the full value chain that will ensure that whatever we plant, we can produce and take to the end. Say, for example, you look at a belt and say, we want to do cassava, and then that, if you do all your tests and say cassava is good in this area, you get improved seedling of stem of cassava, sticks of cassava, and give to the community around there. And government itself has to encourage the partnership with communities, with business people, and then you now set up a full value chain of that cassava, set up a factory that will process gari, that will give you starch, that will give you fufu, which is our main food. You do that for rice, you do that for tomatoes, and that is beginning to let our people see agriculture as a business. I'm an entrepreneur and I know how we can make money out of this thing. We must completely move away from this waiting for a fact until they meet and then statutory allocation count. We can't continue with that. We must begin to think of feeding ourselves and then exporting. Ibom Air is increasing its fleet. The government has just ordered 10 new Airbuses. We are going to do regional flights. And then you improve by creating a platform, to be able to export some of those agricultural products and earn foreign exchange. We add a cargo terminal to what we are doing now, and then you begin to think of export. You move from agriculture, you look at tourism. Akwa Ibom has one of the longest coastlines in this country. In fact, on the shores of in West Africa, we have 29 kilometers of coastline. What have we done with the blue economy? How many of our beaches have been developed fully that people can come? Akwa Ibom can become a major tourism hub in this country. And then it's just to develop our tourism potentials. We have about 19 tourist sites that we need to develop, and we can market Akwa Ibom as a destination of choice. And with Ibom Air, that can bring people into the state, and then you can have that. So tourism is a big employer of labor. Don't forget, the whole idea is to get our young people back to work. That is the whole idea. We need to get these young people back to work. They finish school and they are not doing much. So tourism is one key area we need to look at. And then, of course, we let our people, apart from just going to school, we tweak our educational policies to be able to include vocational training. And young people should not just be seeking for white-collar jobs. They shouldn't be job seekers. They should be job creators. And so they need to have some bit of vocational training that will help them. And so you then look at the health sector. The health sector, this government have done extremely well with our secondary health. Our general hospitals, over 21, have been refurbished, some brand new, and we need to get into those general hospitals. But we need to also look at our primary health care system, where you will ensure that the people, because you want to stem rural-urban migration, you must provide facilities across the 31 local government areas that will ensure that life is worth living in those local government areas. So you look at your primary health care system, and I have said that in every ward in this state, there will be a cottage hospital. Alongside that cottage hospital, you work on local roads, you work on the market, you work on everything you can think of to help the rural people enjoy the benefits of democracy. That is governance. The people must feel that, and then you now look at your security, like I tried to say when we started. Security is key. And the duty of government is to provide security. So you cooperate with the security agencies to ensure that you enable them to do the work that they've been called to be. And back to the blue economy. We are here to tap from the blue economy that God has so graciously bestowed upon us in Akwa Ibom State. We need to, all of our people in the riverine areas, we need to begin to see how can we give them speedboats, how can we fight piracy, how can we give them trawlers, how can we give them canning factories to make sure that dotted on our coastline, we can benefit from the blue economy. We can, we've been blessed. Akwa Ibom is a state that is so blessed by God, and it takes someone who understands the dynamics to be able to take advantage of all of this and run the state basically as a business, because the business of governance, and then you can let the people begin to derive these benefits. That's what it is.
All right. When you flagged off your campaign, you talked about your experience in the private sector and how you were able to bring a lot of employment. Your business actually was second, if I'm correct, second largest employer of labor in the state, and so on. How do you now leverage that as governor to bring employment as a centerpiece, because everything is about the people?
I've lost you. I've lost part of your question.
I said that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
I said that when you flagged off your campaign, you were able to make the point that when you were in the private sector, you were the second largest employer of labor, if I'm right, in Akwa Ibom State.
Correct.
How do you want to leverage that, the idea of employment as a part of the major plank as governor, given the fact that the governor now, Udom Emmanuel, has come up with some business ventures for the states, like Ibom Air, coconut factory, flour mills, and so on.
Thank you. The issue of creating employment, I've said so severally, because if you have not created employment before, then everybody will be looking up to government. I am not actually coming to, just bloat the payroll of government. We want to create employment for our people through the various programs that we have put in place and we're talking about, through agriculture, tourism, rural development. You create a lot of employment for our people and train them how to do business. While I was in the private sector, a lot of people I'm basically an entrepreneur. I run hotels, I run eateries, I have a water production company. And again, most importantly, we provided catering services, catering and housekeeping services for IOCs in this country. And at the stage, you have the responsibility to provide food for almost 2,000 or 1,000 people, as the case would be, on offshore platforms. Like sometimes we have to cater for 12 offshore platforms, one IOC and other IOCs too. And so it is you have a logistic problem there. You have a staff issue to manage. You have the ability to time yourself to be able to provide breakfast by 6 a.m., provide lunch by 11:30, provide dinner by 6, and provide midnight meal. It takes systematic planning. You must have a clear understanding of, you must be on top of your game to do that. You're not just going to be a joker working with IOCs in this country and believing that you can go tell them stories when it's time for paper. You have to get your food from onshore to offshore. You have to run the logistics facility. It's something that you sit upon, and I've done that for close to 15 years of in the lifespan of our organization. So you bring that, you know how to create jobs through effective planning, through understanding the terrain, the environment. You know how to create jobs through all of the goal aspirations you have set up, and you have put them into goals. And so those jobs are there. It's just for you to work with the private sector. Don't forget that government is an enabler. I believe government should be an enabler, and you enable the private sector, provide the conducive environment, partner with them and know when to pull out, because government has no business in business. But again, government has the business of enabling the private sector. After COVID, the economy has been down, and people no more even have working capital. The rate at which people get finances in the bank today is so high. So as government, you must deliberately, therefore, enable the people to get back to work, and you provide such services and create those jobs, and then you know when to pull back from as government. You're not going to be involved in everything. When I hear people say, oh, government doesn't own this, government doesn't own this business. But again, don't forget that government's role is not necessarily to own. Even if you own now, at some point you will offload. You cannot continue as the business begins to expand and you get into the integrity of the business. Governments must then begin to say, okay, it's time for us now to offload and begin to recover our investment. So these are the areas with which we'll create jobs. We create jobs by creating hubs for our people, our young artisans, tailoring, our young artisans, shoemaking. You need to know the number of shoes that we have 7.5 or thereabout people in Akwa Ibom. We all wear shoes. And then our school children need shoes to go to school. So why can't we create a shoe hub and put our people to work and then bring the machines and import it, and then you can have, again, a whole value chain in that hub. Why can't we create a fashion hub where we can have our young people? You know that Africans generally, Nigerians were fashion freak, and so why can't we create that hub? Our problem is always finishing, and so why can't we get the machines and put there, and we can have a shared value, benefit from economy of scale. People can
All right,
go
Mr.
there,
Ino.
and that's how to create jobs.
Mr. Ino, let me also take you back to your earlier, manifesto portion where you spoke about your plans to revitalize, develop, so to speak, local governments. And of course, you're mindful of the recent news making the rounds, especially from the quarters of the president, accusing governors of stealing local government funds. It's also interesting to note that recently as well, the State House of Assembly in Akwa Ibom State passed, the law for local government autonomy. So if elected, what will you be doing differently to change the narrative?
Local government autonomy has been there. This government has respect for that, and I intend to follow through with that. You don't have to touch local government funds, but you can sit with the local government chairman and ask them what they intend to do with funds, because you're the governor of the state. You want to understand that no one fritters away the state funds. So there's always a need for meeting. And then you have a clear understanding. Again, you don't want to, duplicate what they are doing with what the state is doing. So there's always a need to sit together and discuss. I don't think that is a tamper with local government funds. There will always be collaboration. There are things local governments have to do. There are things the states have to do. Policies are very clear. And so you just, as a governor, work through with them, have meetings with them, and have clear understanding of our roles at different times, and then to prevent executive overlap. And the issue is, I want to see Akwa Ibom, particularly our rural areas, fully integrated into the state. Like right now, from Uyo, you can approach any local government in this state within 1 hour, and the roads are good. So that's, we need to understand. Once you understand your roles, states, and it's like federal, state, and local government. Once those roles, you understand what it is, then you can't have issues. There are roles that belongs to the federal government in the state. There are roads that belong to the state. There are roads that the local government have. So you understand that, and you keep working with them to ensure that everyone plays his part properly. Ultimately, the people must benefit from all of this roles that we play.
All right, I want to ask you two questions in one. One has to do with the domestic debt of the state, which is said to be at about 232.2 billion naira as at December 2021. What will be your approach to reducing that? That's on the one hand. Then on the other hand, you're a pastor, service to God, service to humanity. How are you going to manage both?
Thank you. The debt situation in Akwa Ibom is not something that is insurmountable. When you get into office, you look at the debt portion, and then you begin to make provisions for it. You simply, through the budget, make provision for debt servicing, and you ensure that you don't accumulate more debt. You work with development partners, donor agencies, and create the things you want to do. And most of the things you want to do will be private sector driven. So even if you have, you take some money, those money must be paid back because you're putting them into private investment. I believe, see, as an entrepreneur, I'm not scared with any debt because once you have inflows, once you are producing, once you are managing something, you can restructure those debts. You can now begin to pay. And then, so you pay down. Debts will always be there. You can't really run an economy such as the one we're running without debt. It's for you to sit down and look at it and see how you can begin to pay off. And it's possible, it's doable. It's part of your budgeting process. And once you understand that, the people planning your budget, you sit with them. The portion must be left for it, and you work with what you have. Sometimes, my sister, it's not the amount of money you have. I need to make.
Okay, the last question, I'd like for you to quickly address the last question because we have run out of time. Service to God, service to humanity.
It's not the amount of money you have, but it's the amount of ideas you have to use the amount of money you have to achieve something.
Right.
People can have so much money and not achieve anything. As a pastor, well, you know that is. Look, my Christian life is.
Right. Right. I'd really love to hear what he was going to say with regards to him being a pastor and also running as a governor, service to God, service to humanity, basically.
Even beyond the entrepreneurship position, that pastor always stands out. Pastor,
yes. But we must thank him, governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umoena, for giving us his time to speak on issues concerning the state.
Yes, he has been very articulate and seems to be on top of the issues.
Absolutely, obviously.